What if the most beautiful woman you've ever saw was hiding a secret that could drown your entire kingdom? Today's tale is a haunting, layered myth from Wales, and you won't see the twist coming. If you love deep story dives, folklore, and the writer's lens on ancient tales, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell. I drop new story analysis and author deep cuts every week. This is the story of Prince Benlli and the Maiden of the Green Forest, an ancient Welsh fairy tale about beauty, betrayal, promises, and the price of curiosity. We'll read it piece by piece, and I'll walk you through the narrative craft, hidden symbolism, and what this story teaches modern storytellers about consequences. The Maiden of the Green Forest. Many a palace lies under the waves that wash Cymric land, for the sea has swallowed up more than one village and even cities. When Welsh fairies yield to their mortal lovers and consent to become their wives, it is always on some condition or promise. Sometimes there are even several of these. When the fairy ladies compel their mortal lovers to pledge them before they agree to become wives. In fact, the fairies in Cymric land are among the most exacting of any known. Right away we're grounded in loss. These first lines are warnings. Things fall, the sea takes, magic makes deals, but only on its own terms. This mythic framing primes us to expect grandeur and tragedy. It's a red flag for readers. Power always comes at a cost. And Cyrilla's joined us. A prince named Benlli of the Powys region found this out, to his grief. For when he had always supposed that wives could be simply had for the asking. All that a man need say to the girl to whom he took a fancy was this: "Come along with me and be my bride." And then she would say, "Thank you, I'll come." And the two would trot off together. This was that man's notion. Now Benlli was a wicked old fellow. He was already married, but the wrinkles had gathered on his wife's face. She had a faded, washed-out look, and her hair was thinning out. She would never be young again, and he was tired of her, and wanted a mate with fresh, rosy cheeks and long, thick hair. And he was quite ready to fall in love with such a maiden whenever his eyes should light upon her. One day he went out hunting in the great forest. While waiting for a wild boar to rush out, there rode past him a young woman whose beauty was dazzling, and he instantly fell in love with her. The next day, while on horseback, at the same opening in the forest, the same maiden reappeared, but was only for a moment, and then she vanished. Again, on the third day, the prince rode out to the appointed place, and again the vision of beauty, she was there. He rode up to her and begged her to come and live with him at the palace. Benlli is immediately framed as selfish and shallow, already married, dismissive of his aging wife, and fixated on appearance. This is a classic moral fable setup. The hero is no hero. His flaw? Entitlement. This will come back to bite him, and hard. I will come and be your wedded wife on 3 conditions. You must put away the wife you now have. You must permit me to leave you 1 night in every 7 without following after me or spying upon me, and you must not ask me where I go or what I do. Swear to me that you will do these 3 things. Then, if you keep your promises unbroken, my beauty shall never change. No, not until the tall vegetable flag reeds wave and the long green rushes grow in your hall. The Prince of Powys was quite ready to swear this oath, and he solemnly promised to observe the 3 conditions. So the Maid of the Green Forest went to live with him. But what of his old wife? One asks. Ah, he had no trouble from that quarter, for when the newly wedded couple arrived at the castle, she had already disappeared. This is a fairy tale contract and an author's dream for foreshadowing. The 3 promises are both legalistic and mythic, and they're traps, all of them. Note the flag reeds and green rushes. Line, it sounds poetic, but it's a ticking time bomb. This tale is already about betrayal and what happens when men try to own women without understanding them. Shouldn't do that, boys. Happy indeed were the long bright days which the prince and his new bride spent together. Whether in the castle or outdoors, riding on horseback or in hunting the deer, every day her beauty seemed diviner and she was more lovely. He lavished various gifts upon her, among others that of a diadem of beryl and sapphire. Then he put on her finger a diamond ring that was worth a very great sum, a king's ransom. In Middle Ages, monarchs as well as nobles were taken prisoner in battle, and large amounts of money had to be paid to get them back again. So a king's ransom is what Benlli paid for his wife's diamond ring. He loved her so dearly, and he never suspected for a moment that he would ever have any trouble in keeping his 3 promises. But without variety, life has no spice, and monotony wearies the soul. After 9 years had passed and his wife absented herself every Friday night, he began to wonder why could it be. His curiosity to know the reason for her going away so increased that it wore on him, and he became both miserable in himself and irritable towards others. Everybody in the castle noticed the change in their master and grieved for it. One night he invited a learned monk from the White Monastery, not far away, to come and take dinner with him. The table in the great banqueting hall was spread with the most delicious viands, and the lights were magnificent, and the music was airy. But Wyland, the monk, was a man of magic, and he could see through things. He noticed that some secret grief was preying upon the prince's mind, and he discerned that, amidst all this splendour, he, Benlli, the lord of the castle, was the most miserable person within its walls. So Wyland went home, resolved to call again and find out what was the trouble. We're reminded here of something crucial in storytelling. Peace is the illusion before the fall. The number 9 echoes mythic cycles, 3 times 3, and Benlli's rot is spiritual. He can't abide mystery, especially from a woman, and that tells you who he is. When they met some days later, Wyland's greeting was this: Christ save thee, Benlli. What secret sorrow clouds thy brow? Why so gloomy? Benlli at once burst out with the story of how he had met the maid of the green forest, and how she became his wife on 3 conditions. Think of it, said Benlli, groaning aloud. When the owls cry and the crickets chirp, my wife leaves my bed, and until the day-star appears, I lie alone, torn with curiosity to know where she is and what she's doing. When I fall again into heavy sleep and do not wake until the sunrise, when I find her by my side again, it is all such a mystery, and the secret lies heavy on my soul. Despite all my wealth and my strong castle, with feasting and music by night and hunting by day, I am the most miserable man in the Cymric land. No beggar is more wretched than I. Wyland, the monk, listened, and his eyes glittered. There came into his head an idea of enriching the monastery. He saw his chance and improved it at once. He could make money by solving the secret for a troubled soul. Prince Benlli, said he, if you will bestow upon the monks of the White Minster 1/10 of all the flocks that feed within your domain, and 1/10 of all that flows into the vaults of your palace, and hand over the Maiden of the Green Forest to me, I shall warrant that your soul will be at peace and your troubles shall end. To all this Prince Benlli agreed, making a solemn promise. Then the monk Wyland took his book, leather-bound and kept shut by means of metal clasps, and hid himself in the cranny of the rock near the giant's cave, from which there was an entrance down into fairyland. He had not long to wait, for soon, with a crown on her head, a lady, royally arrayed, passed out by the silvery moonlight into the dark cave. It was none other than the Maiden of the Green Forest. Now came a battle of magic and spells, as between the monk's own and those of the Green Forest Maiden. He moved forward to the mouth of the cave. This is where greed compounds tragedy. Wyland doesn't offer comfort. He seeks a business deal. Even monks, it turns out, have agendas. His vow is transactional. Trade your wife and riches for peace. What we're really watching is a soul auction in slow motion. And today we would call that a deal with the devil. Then summoning into his presence the spirits of the air and the cave, he informed them as to Benlli's vow to enrich the monastery and deliver the Green Forest Maiden to himself. Then calling aloud, he said, "Let her forever be as she now appears, and never leave my side. Bring her before the break of day to the cross near the town of the White Minster, and there I will wed her and swear to make her my own." Then, by the power of his magic, he made it impossible for any person or power to recall or hinder the operation of these words. Leaving the cave's mouth in order to be at the cross before the day should dawn, the first thing he met was a hideous ogress, grinning and rolling her bleared eyes at him. On her head seemed what was more like moss than hair. She stretched out a long, bony finger towards him. On it flashed the splendid diamond ring which Benlli had given his bride, the beautiful maid of the Green Forest. This is a total spellcraft moment, but it's not about light versus dark. It's about men trying to bind forces they don't understand. Wyland thinks he can trap a fairy with rules, but the old magic doesn't play fair. The duel isn't magical. It's ironic. His own hubris dooms him. Isn't that the way with mortals? "Take me to thy bosom, monk Wyland," she shrieked, laughing hideously and showing what looked like green snags of fangs in her mouth. "For I am the wife you are sworn to wed. 30 years ago I was Benlli's blooming bride. When my beauty left me, his love flew out the window. Now I am a foul ogress. But magic makes me young again every 7th night. I promised that my beauty should last until the tall flag reeds and the long green rushes flow into his halls and grow there." Amazed at her story, Wyland drew in his breath. "And this promise I have kept. It is already fulfilled. Your spell and mine are both completed. Yours brought him to the peace of the dead. Mine made the rivers rush in. Now waters lap to and fro among the reeds and rushes that grow in the banqueting hall, which is now sunk deep below the earth. With the clash of our spells, no charm can redress our fate. Come then, and take me as thy bride, for oath and spell have both decreed it as thy reward. As Benlli's promise to you is fulfilled, for the waters flow in the palace vaults, the pike and the dare, it's a fish, feed there." So caught in his own dark, sordid plot, the monk, who played conjurer, had become the victim of his own craft. They say that Wyland's cross still recalls the monk, while fishermen on the Welsh border can, on nights with smooth water, see towers and chimneys far below, sunk beneath the waves. The end. This ending hits like a dagger. She was Benlli's first wife, the one he discarded. She's both ogress and enchantress. Her final curse fulfills her promise, literally. Benchley's palace floods. The banquet hall becomes a wetland of failure. Wyland? He gets what he wanted. Marriage, just not to the maiden he imagined. It's brutal and brilliant. This is a fairy tale about broken vows, false desires, and the failure to respect boundaries. It's about what happens when you mistake mystery for a problem to solve. The Maiden of the Green Forest is layered, elegant, and savage, and its ending still holds power centuries later. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give it a like and a comment with your favourite moment, or your theory about the Maiden's original identity. And if you want more folklore deep dives, don't forget to subscribe. And now you know. And I'll see you in the next video. This one, right here. Go ahead and click it. You know you want to. The old magic says so.